want to welcome you to Dreamchasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? This is a very good day, and I'm so very excited to have everyone here joining us. We have an author's interview. Now, this is going to be a little bit different because she's joining me on audio and I'm on video. So we're going to do the best we can to make sure that you guys understand where she's coming from, why she wrote this book, and who she is. I want to welcome to the show, and I'm going to say this beautifully, and I know I'm going to do it because it's such a simple name, Linda Lang, and I love it. It's just, it rings. Welcome to the show, Linda.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored to be on your show, Yaya.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So tell us about yourself. When did you start writing?
Oh, I started writing in school, in the English classes when we had uh, assignments to do. But then as I got older, I started writing poetry and doing some journal work. And then when I was teaching school, I started writing like plays for my students to, because I was a music teacher, so sometimes I'd write a little musical for them, and then later on is when I started actually writing, and I, because I'm music and singer and player of music, I love to accompany musicals. Was a music contractor in Los Angeles for a number of years, and there I would be an accompanist, a piano accompanist for numerous musicals in the city, or playing for studio work, pipe organ in churches, and et cetera, et cetera. But it wasn't until I had to return to my roots in Minnesota to take care of my family. My mom and dad, they were sick. And so I started in 2003 being a caregiver. And in 2010, I thought, I want to join this Institute of Children's Literature. But I discovered that you had to go online if you were accepted. But initially in 2003, I was able to write my stories out as they were supposed to be written out. I was so honored to be accepted in the Institute of Children's Literature. And so I began writing my first story. And then as my mom was failing, I decided I'm not going to be able to do this. So I called them and told them I'd have to back out, and it was too late to get my money back. So that was 2010. 7 years later, they call me, or they send a letter and say, Linda, you already paid for your class for the institute there to write children's books. And so we would like to invite you to come back and finish. And I was like ecstatic. Oh, wow. I get to do this. So then it took so that was 7 years later, 2017. So then it took about 3, maybe a little over that, 3 years to finish, because it's 10 lessons, but they're very involved, and I had to learn a little bit about the internet, and I had a friend who did some of my typing. She was marvelous. But anyway, I finished all 10, and I got my final award that I finished the children's literature. So I started sending out my works. The story of the little mouse is not initially from those 10 lessons that I did. It was a dream. And I'm not really sure when I had it, because if you've ever had a dream and then tried to write it down, you're trying to find pieces of paper in the middle of the night to finish writing what you're seeing in your dream. And that's kind of what happened to me. Well, then I put all those pieces of paper in a notebook. So it may have been a few years later after that I discovered this wonderful little story. Oh, I remember that dream. It was such a powerful dream. Even after I woke up, I still had the spray of the ocean. I could feel the ocean on my face. And the
Wow.
little girl, her little song, I could hear her singing with the mouse, and I could see him dancing, and it was like um, all day long still in my dreamland, and it's kind of weird, but at the same time, for me, it was a marvelous thing. So my lady who does my typing, I said, I have this story written down. Can you try to type it so it's a story? She said, of course, I won't have any trouble because I used to work for a lawyer. So, so she then, I don't know how many days she worked on it and said, come on and get your manuscript. And it was like, yes, this is what my dream was all about.
Wow.
And so, I still was working on some of the logistics of it, and we had to uh, type it and then adding words. So it ended up being 793 words. That's what you have to do when you send in your manuscript. You need to say how many words. Um, but then, okay, it's done. So then I stuck it in another notebook. And again, I found it after I had attended the Christian Faith Publishing. It was a workshop by another author who had written books, and so it was her day to have book signing, and it was such a fantastic story. She had been in the hospital or something and had surgery, and now she's laid up for months, and so her son said, he's wanted to write a book, so write some books, and so she decided to sing her books that she wrote through Christian Faith Publishing. And I thought, oh my goodness, that book about the little mouse, oh, that would be so perfect. So I then went ahead and sent in the manuscript to see if I would be approved. And I was approved.
Mm.
And then started the journey
Wow.
of writing this book through the Christian Faith people.
Wow. What I
And they were
love.
marvelous,
Oh, this is
marvelous.
just great. What I love about this book is I love the artwork. I think it's so cute. It's like a little mouse sitting on a floating piece of cheese. And you got the little joy on the sail. And that is just beautiful. I thought that was so cute.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
Who did the illustration?
Say again?
Who did the illustration?
Well, it was the book people, but I initially, they take me step by step.
Hmm.
First of all, the manuscript they have to go through, intricately, and then later on it's the illustrations. Well, they ask me intricate questions, about each scene. They were going to use, they wanted to use 12 different pictures.
Hmm.
So then I was supposed to write it down. Well, I started writing it down. I thought, I am the one that had the dream.
Yeah, right.
So I should be the one creating, how things are. That here's the cliff, and where does the little mouse and the little hut and all that. Because initially, I remember when I started out the dream, I'm seeing this little creature stuck in this plastic bag, and he was just simply a little gray mouse. But all of a sudden, as he scampered out, he became this little fantasy with dancing and in his outfit, and it was no longer I was no longer in regular land, so to speak. And so I then thought, okay, I'm going to, even though I don't think I'm a very good drawer or anything, I'm going to draw what I see and color it in how I see it. And of course, then when they took it, they they really enhanced it and just made it just incredibly wonderful. So,
They
yes.
did. They did a great job. They did a great job. And I wanted to really read this for a second. It says this story comes to the author as an incredible dream. In the morning, she writes it down, still feeling the ocean spray from the waves. In amazement, she can still hear the little mouse and dove singing their songs. I thought that was just beautiful. I mean, it's just gorgeous the way that went. And it's a kid's book, but it's also something, I mean, that we can as adults kind of gravitate to. It's an adult dream but written for children. And it's an adult dream of, I think, maybe for me, and I'm not speaking for anyone else, but for me, the dream signifies the little child that's still within all of us that wants to come out.
Wow, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. I I know when with the little girl when she enters, I always thought of her as almost like an angel,
Hmm.
uh, wanting to kind of take care of the little mouse and all the creatures, but not um, so that they think she's taking care of them. She wants to be there and part and with them and enjoy all together. And, like she moves the hut up a little higher and brings these little treasures and things.
Mm,
But it kind of in the background so
yeah.
that little mouse and all the creatures can just enjoy each other and be the idea of being together and what fun they can have
Wow.
in a creative, wonderful way. Yep.
Hmm. Do you not think that that little girl may be you?
I didn't hear the last part. That
Do
the little girl maybe.
maybe you?
Oh, oh my. I didn't, but that's an interesting point because I um I certainly love nature and the little creatures and yeah, I never thought of it as being me, but
I mean, it's your dream.
thank you. Oh, I
It's
know.
it's your dream, right? And I mean,
Yes.
dreams are symbolic. At least to me, I feel like when I have a dream, the dream usually is something that symbolizes something that I'm thinking of during the day. And it might be me, it might be something. I mean, but for you, you love the creatures, you love the music. Could it not have been you?
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yep. Yep. It very much could be. Yep. And even with the little girl, I know as a musician, and I know that you are that. And so you know that we creative people, and I suppose everyone, we want to keep that little girl, that little boy, that whatever inside of us,
Yes.
and we want to still be a child,
Hmm.
even though we have to live in an adult world and we have to keep our minds in a different place sometimes. It's always nice when we can kind of go back into our childhood or read a child's book or something like that so that we can still be connected because it's important to keep the little girl and the little boy or in happy.
Yeah.
Then if they're happy, then we will be happy.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I totally, totally agree with you. And I think that little girl is you. I mean, I can't think of anyone else. It could be.
Well, I feel really honored because one of the things I wanted to do, because I loved Shirley Temple, and I come from that time period, not that far back, but I always, and so I thought, she became Shirley Black, and she became a
Mm-hmm.
stateswoman, and very well respected, and just a very amazing lady. And then I think it was MS or something that. So the latter part of her years, she had to deal with
Yeah.
multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
And I thought, my goodness, here she was when she was a little girl. She could dance and sing, and she was just the cutest thing. And then in her latter years, she has to not be able to do those things, but still bring goodness, to
Yeah.
people. I just so in my notes I said I want her to kind of resemble Shirley Temple, and I thought she did. I thought they did that a nice job in there, because all my little girls that I drew, every time I drew her, she was a little different. I
Mm.
mean, I made her face a little different because I was trying to capture what I wasn't capturing. So then the next time I'd draw her a little different, and I thought that they did a nice job in depicting
That's
the
wonderful.
little girl. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love it. I love that you had the dream. I love that you were able to write it down. I love that it became a book. I love that you put it out. And I love that now the realization is that little girl just may be you. What kind of advice do you give to people who have a dream, wrote it down, and they think maybe they should put it out, maybe they should do it, but I don't know. You know how you get that feeling like, okay, maybe no, I don't think so. It's but they should. They really should. I mean, it could affect people. It could literally change their lives. What do you say to them?
Well, it's very easy to say, "Oh no, no, I can't do that," or "No, I don't." And I have had those thoughts too, and things that I wanted to write about, and I thought, "Oh no, don't write about that. You don't know anything about it," or "You can't do that," or things like that. But as I've gotten older, and I lost my family is gone. My immediate family is gone, and it seemed like they kind of went bung, 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 and they're gone. And so there's no more phone calls to call mom, no more phone calls to call my sister, no more, there's none of that anymore. And so I thought, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit in a chair and rock away and just let the life go by you? Or are you going to get in and experience? It doesn't matter if you are right or wrong or lose or things go well. It's just do it.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started like trying to learn how to do computers, and then do this learning how to write for children's books, which I had wanted to do for a long, long time, because I'd see the ad in like the highlights for children, that book, or just see it in the newspaper sometimes. So when I sent in my application, and they sent me back this little test to take, and I sent the test in, and then they took a while, and they sent it back, and they said, we feel you are capable of, and that you should write um, for children, and so we'd like you to be in our institute. So
Wow.
uh, if you don't do it, you never will know, and it doesn't matter. Like I say, I think that's the thing. People go, oh, I won't succeed.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you succeed or not. Just like I use the birds in the story, because I love the birds, and I'm such a fan of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. If you've ever read that book, it's about a seagull and how he reached for the stars, and everybody kept saying, "No, don't, you can't do that. That's too high. You can't go that high. You can't fly that high. Forget it." And He said, no, I'm going to fly that high. I'm going to do the best. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. And so, yeah, we got to try.
Gotta
Can I
try.
tell you a story about a young man that read Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. I was in Japan doing singing in a little club restaurant in Japan, and there was a band from America, and it was a family. And the young man, he was, I think maybe 18, something like that. And so I'd see him playing pinball machines and things. And then one day we were talking, and he said, I'm feeling very bored. I said, oh, I've got a book for you to read. You might enjoy. Oh, Linda, I don't like to read books. I said, well, would you try? It's called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's about a seagull. He goes, well, okay. So anyway, he took it reluctantly. And then after that, whenever there was a moment, he would be in the corner reading the book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Well, days later, he came up and he said, Linda, here's your book back. I read the book. I read it all the way through. It's the first book in my life I've ever read completely through. Wow. And he said, I just love the book, and I don't know, he was standing there smiling, and it seemed like it had a lasting effect. I'd really like to see him. It's been decades ago. I wonder how he is doing, and how that book affected him. Anytime I could, would give that book out to people or kids any age to read.
Wow. Well, right now we're going to think about The Little Mouse with a Big Heart by Linda Lang.
Okay.
And
yes.
And that other book, if you guys can find it, don't forget to pass it along. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Linda, thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate it. And it's just been such a pleasure having you.
Well, I've enjoyed this so much, and thank you for the honor to be on your show.
Oh, the honor is mine. The honor is mine. Thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to have that link in the description box below, wherever you may be watching, so that you can go ahead and check out that book for yourself. Okay. It is The Little Mouse with a Big Heart. And if you find yourself dreaming, don't forget to write it down if you can remember. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you for watching.